On behalf of Brenda and all the staff at the George Funeral Home and the Downs and Son Funeral Home, thank you for being part of this virtual service to remember and reflect on all of our loved ones that have left us over the last year. Over the year, it has been our honor to assist many families at the time of the loss of their loved one. As part of tonight's service, an ornament with that person's name on it will be placed on our tree of remembrance, and that tree will be in the George Funeral Home over the Christmas season. The Christmas season can be a very stressful time for anyone, but can be extremely stressful for those who have recently lost someone or something, whether that is a loved one, a job, a relationship, or just dealing with your own being and its internal struggles. It is our hope that this short service of remembrance helps in some way to ease or at least offer a small window of hope that there is light ahead and that each of you will find your own path to that light. We will now light our 4 candles of remembrance. The first candle is to represent our grief. That grief can be in any form: the loss of a loved one, everyday struggles, addiction, whatever is bringing you down. It represents the pain and anguish that we feel inside ourselves and the hope that we can overcome it for a brighter future. The second candle we light represents our courage. The courage to confront our sorrow, to comfort and help each other, and to try to change our lives, to enable us to better cope and live within our struggles. The third candle we light is a memory candle. It is lit to remind us that, in the case of a loved one loss, to remember the times you laughed together, the times you cried together, the silly things you did together, and the caring and joy you shared together. For others, it is lit for you to remind yourself of the happier times that you had and to try and find your path back to those times. The fourth candle we light represents our love for those no longer with us. And also for the love that is a spark deep within us that needs reawakened. We deeply miss what or who we have lost, and this candle hopefully will help guide us through that loss and bring the love we all have inside to the surface to shine brightly once again. Father Ron Knott has a blog, and part of his blog he shared with the Record newspaper. And it's a message around grieving and Christmas time, and I would share that with you now. In Luke's version of the Gospel, Jesus is presented to us as a God with a big heart, a God who embraces all, especially the poor, the left out, women, children, the sick, and those going through pain and loss. Jesus is reported as crying in this Gospel when he heard that his close friend Lazarus had died. A perfect example of this tenderness is Luke's inclusion of singing angels at the birth of Jesus. His Jewish readers would have known that if Jesus had been born at home in Nazareth, the neighbors would have swarmed the house with musical instruments ready to burst into song when it was announced that it's a boy. In the absence of joyful neighbors, Luke has singing angels filling in to replace what was missing, bringing joy to the Holy Family's sad predicament and reminding readers that God is with us, even in situations like theirs. Emmanuel means God with us. The first Christmas is a portrait of separation, poverty, pain, and tragedy. In spite of that, what the angels saw brought them to singing. They saw through that dark veil and saw a Savior being born. Relief from sin and a glorious destination for God's people. Friends, we often tend to forget that God is present when things are going well, and tend to think God is absent when things are going badly. The truth is that God is also there with us, even in the bad times. Luke makes that gloriously obvious in his touching stories. And as I contemplated how this story of the singing angels at Jesus' birth might apply to those of you who are grieving, either from losses of years past or from losses only recently, several things came to mind. First, do not stifle your grief. If you suppress grief too much, it can well redouble. Second, the more loss you feel, the more grateful you should be for whoever it was that you had to lose. It just means that you had something worth grieving over. Third, if you feel like crying, go ahead. As Patty Loveless used to sing, cry and cry if it makes you feel better. Research has found that shedding emotional tears, besides being self-soothing, releases oxytocin and endorphins. These chemicals reduce physical pain and ease emotional pain. Fourth, grief is really an aching heart trying to reconcile itself with a painful reality that you find extremely hard to accept. Reconciliation with reality takes time. Last of all, someday soon, you will hopefully come to realize that your loss is actually gain for those for whom you grieve. They are in God's embrace. As you grieve your loss, as you feel your heart hurt, and as you shed your tears, know that they are now part of that same multitude of the heavenly host that sang at the birth of Jesus. Just as that heavenly choir looked down on that pathetic scene around the birth of Jesus, a poor young couple away from home, without their family support and having to give birth to the Savior of the world in a smelly animal stall. They look down on your grief and sing to you of the love that God has for you and your loved ones. And the following are thoughts from a mother who has been a part of 2 Blue Christmas services and looking forward to more. She posted her comments online after she had attended a church Blue Christmas service. And this is her story. Christmas has been very painful since my daughter died. It isn't just the day, but the many weeks before, in which, wherever I go, I hear people talking about their preparations. They talk excitedly about their children and grandchildren coming for Christmas. And every time I hear them, it underlines for me that the person I most want to spend Christmas isn't coming home, is never coming home. I hear them complaining about how busy they are while I have time on my hands. I feel invisible, like a ghost at a party. I value a Blue Christmas service. It's a powerful statement because for that time, the church is willing to set aside its own busyness and show it cares about people like me, the ones who are drowning in tinsel, as well as those who are celebrating and happy. My pain is acknowledged. There is space for me too. It can't make it okay. Nothing could do that. But it says you are not alone in your pain. And in doing so, proclaims the message of Christmas. Emmanuel, God with us. God with us in our suffering, our pain, our poverty, our loneliness, as well as in our blessing. It stands against the compulsory good cheer of the season, which is so oppressive to those who, for a whole range of reasons, are unable to share in the prevailing mood. It is a profoundly Christian thing to do. And so, If this service leaves a void, please seek out one of the several in-person services that our local churches put on at this time of year. And at this time, we will name and remember each loved one as we place an ornament with their name on it on our tree of memory. We remember their passing. Their passing we remember, their memory we cherish. Jack McCartney, Nancy Brent, Roxy Gail Edwards, Wayne Tucker, James Wardell, Eleanor Davis, Harold Gill, Albert Lemke, Jean Walker, William Bill Guy, Mary Jane Eichenberger, Elsie Tolman, Glenn Gates, Steve Power, Joan Battridge, Murray Bray, Bill Pratswell, Dennis Bartley, Kim Hopkins, Doreen Bell, Ted Smith, Dave Geringer, Lauren Scott, Al Red Leader, Matthew Burley, Ross Turner, Howard Hills, George Brown, Sharon Dorney, Lorraine Diefenbaker, Kenneth Monroe, Rebecca Powell, Jean Belanger, Michael Severn, Harry Smith, Walter Paddock, Dr. Alex Klim, Kay Boyd, Bill Burnless, John McCurdy, Roy Burrows, Alice Ertl, Marion Shaw, Mark Falardo, Irene McDonald, Mary Weir, Mary Morrell, Bernice Beacock, Michael Moore, Sandra Smith, Kelly West, Jim Rose, Josephine Petrie, Jen Loney, Frederick Cromwell, Raymond Riddell, Dirk Van Heek, Jeffrey Hackett, Brian Mills, Stephen Walker, Terry Mortimer, Ronald Miles, Georgina Gibson, Bryce MacArthur, Louise Batu, Marilyn Clark, Verna McEachran, Vivian Parkinson, Ralph Moll, Milan Sirach, Cheryl Manger, Verna Belmore, Ruth McClay, Bonnie Jones, Pat Horner, Lois Ginger Shell, Dorothy Scholdice, Bonnie Matthews, Domingos Rio, John Peters, Betty Clifford, Calvin Robinson, Douglas Bickford, Beth Haskins, Murray Robbins, John Dernovsek, Albert Smith, Josephine Elaine Campbell, Curtis Winthrop, Adam Love, Kathleen Gallant, Howard Froelich, Patricia Shields, Georgette Henderson, Roy Eastwood, Murray Shabbat, Carl Farrell, Jack Diverty, Jason Cuff, Alan Webb, Roy Borowski, Rosemary Adams, Violet Linyard, Mildred Loban. Their passing we remember, their memory we cherish, and we take a moment now to remember those who have gone before us. following is a poem from God Space Light called Prayers. On this long dark night we await the coming of Christ. We long for the light of His presence with us and in us. When our souls are deeply troubled and our hearts break with the weight of sorrow, may our grief be seasoned with love and our sorrow be buoyed by hope. In our times of God-forsakenness and estrangement, may we gaze upon the Innocent One, made perfect through suffering, and see Him in our venerable God, who saves in weakness and pain. May our suffering empty us of pride and lead us to true joy, and our only security in Christ, the infinite depths of God's grace. And Ted Loder has this prayer. O God of all seasons and senses, grant us the sense of your timing to submit gracefully and rejoice quietly in the turn of the seasons. In this season of short days and long nights, of gray and white and cold, teach us the lessons of endings. Children growing, friends leaving, loved ones dying, grieving over, grudges over, blaming over, excuses over. O God, grant us the sense of your timing in the season of short days and long nights, of gray and white and cold. Teach us the lessons of beginnings, that such waitings and endings may be the starting place, a planting of seeds which bring to birth what is ready to be born, something right and just and different, a new song, a deeper relationship, a fuller love. In the fullness of your time, O God, grant us the sense of your timing. And as we close tonight's service, it is our hope that we are able to bring a little comfort to each of you in these troubling times. This past year has been a most difficult one for everyone, but especially those who have lost a family member or someone you may have been close to, or those suffering with any of the other life's challenges. We are here to embrace and claim the darkness that is present both in the world and in our own lives. As people who are familiar with the darkness, we also know that we gather to be illuminated by the light of the Christ child, born in a lowly stable, himself an outcast and marginal, that he bring light, comfort, peace, and joy this holiday season. Thank you.